All right, so welcome to another video. Today we're going to take a look at the top 10 stocks to watch in April 2022. These aren't recommendations to buy, sell, or trade anything, just my own personal thoughts and opinions. And as we get into my thoughts and opinions, you can go ahead and get those thoughts and opinions on the Discord channel right here. Link is in the description below. You can also check things out on our Traders Fly website where we have a lot of live classes and other things going on. Definitely check some of those things out. On Zoom, we get to connect, hang out. You can ask questions. There's a ton of great freebies. Check out the blog and much more. All right, so let's kind of get started and kick things off. And I want to share with you some of these stocks. Now, when I go in and discuss these stocks, what I'm saying is that these have the potential to either break out. They may also have the possibility to continue moving their run. And you can see I post some of these things in Discord. There's a lot of different charts here that as we scroll periodically, I'll show some setups and so on. But your investment time frame, your investment strategy is going to be a little different. So if you're trading like verticals, if you're trading calendars, if you're doing just straight out stock purchase, it's going to be a little different. So keep that in mind, and definitely make your own investment decisions. I can't really recommend anything for anybody because I don't know you personally. So you have to always take it with a grain of salt to really say, hey, does it make sense for me? So here, I'm going to go ahead and give you kind of some of the things I'm watching and some of the reasoning. We're going to start out with Bristol Myers. I'm going to show you and pull this up for you on one of my charts right here. This chart, what I have here is the moving averages. And the way that this is moving is that it's moving really nicely in this range pattern that it just continues to flow really well with the tide or kind of the range. I've also color coded some things here. This is kind of a color coding chart that I have, which anytime it's yellow, it's really moving really well above moving averages. When it's white, it's starting to kind of get there. So it's kind of my indication to kind of as a signal, hey, maybe when it's white, you could go lighter. When it's yellow, it's go heavier. But remember, the longer the yellow stays, probably eventually it'll kind of sell off. So that's just my way of color coding it. But you could go ahead and just kind of just look at Bristol Myers overall, and you can see the trend continues to do really well. Now, the question is this stock a little bit extended? And this could be up for debate, right? We are continuing to move up for quite a while here, and you can see the trend is going quite well, but it could be to a point where we might get a little extended. We are past the $70 range, and eventually this thing could come back or pull back. But nevertheless, this is one of my thoughts to keep watching. If it keeps going and grinding in this path and direction, it could be a nice stock here for the future. Another one here, and we'll put some of these together, is Square and PayPal. One of the things I like about both of these is that right here, when you take a look, we're hitting right around that $100 price point. You can see we got into 150 in Square and it's kind of rejecting it, but at the 100, we're starting to base and there's a lot of support there that's coming in on the buy side. We also had a nice little pop right here that came in. So as the stock continues, you're starting to see from this downward trend, we're starting to see a little bit of that turnaround and move and push. So even though right now we're pulling back a little and we're struggling at the 150, the stock has been fairly stable and we could just be in a sideways range for now to maybe a further breakout later. But nevertheless, we're kind of really basing well at about that $100 price point. And that goes very similarly for PayPal. If you take a look, we kind of got a little under the 100, somewhere right about that $92 price level. But nevertheless, we kind of, after this downward move, we're starting to base and we're starting to break out here. And again, a little sideways, and we'll see if it can continue moving higher. So very similar chart patterns and setups for both of these stocks. Okay, let's go to Walmart. Okay, this one has moved very well here. If you look at this kind of pattern, it's almost like A to B, B to C, C to D pattern. So we are getting into this top E range, and this could have actually some problems right now. I'll be looking at it and saying, hey, yeah, we are actually at a problem zone. But the reason why I say you want to keep an eye on it for this month is that if we do get a breakout here past this resistance area, that could take that chart to a higher level. And that's where it could be like, hey, a pretty massive buying opportunity in that zone, because what you're doing is you're taking a full year of digestion in this stock, and if we can break, that could really push that price much higher and further. Okay, another two that I'm watching very closely is Lowe's and Home Depot. Both of these had tremendous runs in the past, September, October, November, December time and earlier. We got into 260 with Lowe's and there was resistance. But what you'll notice here is these stocks, have this about 26% pullback. Let's just take a quick peek. I believe it's about 23% on this one. About 23-24% pullback. And what it's starting to do is get into about a $200 psychological support level. And this also has a lot of support here in the past as well, which I think is really nice to see. So I think this could start to become a little bit of a nibbling opportunity right now. But what you notice is there's always some flash amount of buyers that step in. Just like a few days back, boom, this took that stock very quickly, very high. So I think this could also happen soon as well with this stock if you watch this 200. Now the problem sometimes is this goes here and it can actually flash down as well, but 200 is a psychological level, and I'll take kind of a chance there. And 300 here on Home Depot is very similar. Yes, you could wait for a possible break for these levels, but then you're already at about $340 price point, which is quite a bit higher than where it is right now. So you're always taking nibbles on basically you're nibbling when the stock is weak, and right now the stock is weak. You're right around that $300 level in this stock, and that also comes back into about the 300 in June of 2021. So that year, and then here we've got the 300. So again, it's another one that kind of is right there with Lowe's and Home Depot. They're both kind of at those interesting psychological levels. TW is another one I'm kind of keeping an eye on. Look, we've got some bullish volume here. This is TradeWeb Markets, and you've got bullish volume coming in. You also have this kind of uptrending move here and the support around 80. So you can see we've based for quite a while, a couple months here. And now we've also had the 90, which right there it struggled, and now it's starting to break. So this is a starting point. If it can get past even 100 right there, that could push the stock quite a bit higher, because this one can move quickly. It doesn't trade a lot of volume or shares, so just be mindful of that. But it is one that's picking up some volume here, and that's why I'm kind of keeping an eye on it. And 80 came down a couple times right here on the support, so it seems to kind of have stabilized. So that's kind of why I'm watching that one. Okay, here's another one, Gprk. Also another one that trades a little bit lighter volume. So with these lighter volume stocks, you want to be a little bit more cautious. I'm just trying to throw something different at you than the regular big companies out there. $16 starting to kind of break. Watch this. Volume right there also coming into play. So you've got resistance. Look at that move earlier in the past in September. Move was quick. So same thing here is that we're watching right there, $16. It's starting to break that point. Yes, this is a cheaper stock, so there's going to be some overhead problems and overhead supply, but it's starting to kind of break this resistance from the past of 2021, and that's one to kind of keep an eye on for this month. Another one here is Twitter, which Elon Musk kind of got into it right here. So this one's exploding. Now, I don't know if I would personally trade Twitter right now. I'd give it kind of 3 to 5 days to settle. I just like kind of giving it a little bit of a timetable because it is kind of gapped up. There's a gap, so there's a little bit of an issue. But what I'm looking at actually is more of sympathy plays. On sympathy plays like Pinterest, which is kind of digesting sideways here after this big downward move. What you're starting to see now is after these downward moves, you're starting to get some sideways action, and this is where these can start to explode, and you're starting to see some bullish volume starting to come in right here. So if you just go ahead and draw this up, what you'll notice is these bullish volume spikes are starting to come in there because the stock is getting to a cheaper price point and level where it may start looking a little more attractive. So including things like Snap is the same concept where you're starting to see some of these things here, where you're looking at a sympathy play maybe around that $30 price point. And, even Facebook, not that Facebook is kind of in the same world. It's a little bit different, but in the $200 level, it's been kind of grinding up right there. So it's been looking okay and well. So that's kind of another one that I would keep an eye on, is these kind of few stocks in that social media space. All right, we've got a couple more here. SRRK is another one that I kind of kept an eye on. We've got volume coming in right here. Again, lighter volume, so another one that's more cautious. But what you're starting to see is a little bit of this rounding pattern. And rather than the continued move down, we're starting to see a slight base with a volume increase right here after lighter volume. So lighter volume with bigger volume coming in. It's starting to pick up some steam. You're holding about the 13. And if we can start turning this around, that could be one to watch again and keep your eyes peeled here in the future. You're also looking at right here, you're kind of getting into some support and base. Obviously 10 is kind of a critical psychological for a lot of stocks, but it is a cheaper one, trades a lot lighter, and it's definitely one to be a little more careful about because they're cheaper and speculative, but it's again one that's starting to build a little bit of volume here and there on the spikes or the pops. And then the next one I want to do, and the last one, is kind of Costco. The thing with this one is also a little bit more careful and cautious because we do continue to kind of run up on this, but we got just past this resistance level. And now we're breaking through it, but this can just hold here and break back down very quickly. So even though this stock has moved very well, and I'll just show you kind of just overall this yellow colors here. So you can see that we had some white signs of white zones here, which was above certain moving averages. And then the yellow started to pick up, and then we kind of stayed in the trade here. But now we're getting a little toppy in this area. And if this cannot hold here, this can break through. But if it can hold, now what we can do is continue this projection, and that's where this one could be another one to watch and keep your eyes peeled on. So anyways, those are a few of the ones that I'd keep an eye on. Again, not a recommendation to buy, sell, or trade anything. It's just a thought of like, hey, these are some ones that are catching my eye. Some got some interest, and some of the things to keep an eye on. Very fascinating where something like Lowe's is at 200, but then Home Depot is at 300, so you see some of those weird like tendencies to kind of join and group some of these things together. They're just very interesting spots with some of these stocks. We've had some serious sell-offs in some of these where you could see a turnaround soon, and that is the time to usually start nibbling and getting into some of these stocks. But if you're kind of waiting for a more clear-cut sign and opportunity, then of course you could do that, because the S&P has ran up quite a bit. We've run up quite a lot, and we're pulling back a little bit. So when you see a run up that quick, usually you do get a little sideways and consolidation or even a pullback. And then you can see power higher, but it wouldn't surprise me to get a slightly larger pullback, and then you can see how things digest or play out. So anyways, I hope that helps. Thank you so much for joining me. Truly appreciate it. Feel free to check out some of the freebies that I have on the website by clicking the link here. Join the Discord channel as well if you like. Check out some of the charts we have posted there, and check out some of the live classes that we have coming up as well. Thanks again for joining me, and I will see you in the next video and episode.